What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the newest developer's handbook that was posted over on the official forums yesterday, in which there is some pretty positive information in here. However, I am taking all of this with a grain of salt. We'll talk about it. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe, and let's just go ahead and hop into today's topic. Now, I will have a link in the description to the developer's handbook, just in case you guys have not seen this. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, I didn't want to talk about this in that video because we already had so much information that we had to go over, so I just figured that today would be a good day to go ahead and talk about all this. However, before we do hop into this, make sure that you guys get on getting all of your dailies done today, as well as making sure that you are finishing up all of the different events that are going to be ending today as well, which does include the current world drop event. So make sure that you guys get that taken care of today. Make sure you get any last minute grinding done that you need to get done. At least try to make sure that you get as much as you need in order to finish getting those ruby boxes in the crafting event, because that stuff will be getting phased out for this new update. If you guys have questions about the newest update for the EX Volume 9, we covered that in yesterday's video. Link will be in the description. So now that we have all that out of the way, let's talk about the developer's handbook. So this is the February 2023 developer's handbook, and we're just going to go ahead and go through this. So starting off here, hello contenders, this is the KoF All-Star Dev Team. We would like to express our gratitude to all of you for your unwavering support for the past 5 years. It is your love and enthusiasm that has allowed us to continue to provide our service. As we look forward to celebrating our 5th anniversary, we are writing to you through the developer's handbook to present some of our directions and plans for 2023. We have reviewed all of the valuable feedback received from our contenders and identified 2 crucial issues that need immediate attention: reorganizing the role of fighter elements and reinforcing the purpose of fighter growth. We would like to explain about the direction of the King of Fighters All-Star Dev Team is planning to update this year to improve the 2 issues just mentioned above. So basically, in a nutshell, right here off the top, the 2 things that they point out here are important, right? They are very, very important, and I'm not going to say that they're not. However, after reviewing all of our feedback, they have decided that these are the 2 things that everybody is most upset about. I don't necessarily think that that is true. I think there are more pressing issues currently in the game that could be added to this list. Now, granted, you can't handle everything all at once, but this is a positive sign, at least, that they are recognizing that there are issues with both in just the role of fighter elements, which at this point are just absolutely useless. It used to be that I would make strategy videos based on fighter elements, based on typings. If you guys can remember when that stuff was actually important. Nowadays, the game is pretty much just get the newest EX fighter and blow through all the content as fast as humanly possible. And you really don't ever worry about fighter element really much anymore. Even in things such as reviving Hell's Dungeon, where it's supposed to matter, it has become a complete joke ever since Dot Explosion really just kind of took over there and made it kind of just, like I mentioned, a joke, right? So that's pretty important stuff. Reinforcing the purpose of fighter growth, I guess it depends on what you mean. I guess, I don't know. I think that really what this boils down to is they want to force you, the way this translates to me, and I might just be a jaded veteran, the way that this part, however, reads to me is, we understand that the fighters are so strong now that you can get an A1 character and be able to breeze through most of the content, so we need to fix that because we want you to pull more, right? That's kind of what that just translates to me, and I don't know why. Again, it might just be me being jaded, but at the same time, another thing that kind of stood out here is 5th anniversary. It has been a while, right? I mean, I guess it makes sense. This is the 3rd year for my channel, and the game has been around an extra year in Japan, or not Japan, just Japan, but, you know, outside of global, right? So very interesting stuff, but let's get into what they have to say here. So when it comes to the first point of reorganizing the role of fighter elements, the first first issue is the reorganization of the role of fighter elements. Although KoFAS is a game that allows players to use the 5 elements of KoFAS fighters to conquer various in-game content, the importance of these elements has been weakened over time. As a result, the game has become less enjoyable, and fighters with high combat power alone can clear most of the content, like we just said. In response to the KoFAS dev team will reorganize in-game content to allow each fighter to use their unique characteristics, beginning with a new dungeon and boss to be updated. With the new dungeon and boss, the advantages and disadvantages of the fighter element will be much more important than the existing ones. Also, besides the already existing 5 elements, a new attribute for the new dungeon/boss will be added. The new attribute for the dungeon/boss will be designed to change occasionally to prevent the target pattern from becoming fixed. Through this, we want to create an environment where contenders can use fighters they have already summoned and strengthened and have more fun thinking about a more strategic team formation than before. In order to effectively target the newly designed dungeon and boss attributes, we will also introduce a new growth system for fighters. This new growth system is designed to enable acquisition and growth through in-game content play as a sub-growth element of a fighter that can be equipped, such as an imprint stone or a battle card. So let's kind of break this down. First things first here. You know, when it comes to the overall point of fighter elements being kind of just not necessary anymore and unimportant in the game, yeah, that's true. We've already covered that. However, creating a new dungeon/boss that is going to be advantageous and disadvantageous to different fighter elements over time, or changing its element, or changing its type advantage or disadvantage over time, what have you. Maybe it'll be like, who knows, like a rainbow fighter, I don't know. But either way, sounds interesting in practice. However, it comes down to implementation. We've said this a million times before. When you look at things like Boss Showdown is a fun mode depending on the season, right? If it is going to be a situation where you have that stupid thing where they force you to be on auto for half of the thing, then the community's going to hate it. But then if you do balance it to a point where it isn't necessarily feeling completely and utterly cheap and stupid, like that felt, then yeah, it feels good and it feels fun, right? It just depends on what they have in mind. And it's hard to know, and it's hard to really give much of an opinion on that outside of that, other than the fact that I do agree with the fact that we do need to get back to the fighter elements mattering, because that has not mattered. Type advantage and disadvantage has not mattered and needs to matter again. And really, at the end of the day, new content is the most important thing, period. So this is all positive stuff. It just comes down to how you implement it. So when you sit here and you tell me that you're working on a new dungeon/boss, that's all fine and dandy. However, I want to see how you implement it and how it works out. I'm not one of those people, I've said this before, I'll say it again, and sometimes it gets me in trouble. I don't mind challenging content. Challenging content is good for a game. Not everybody is a noob, and not every noob deserves to be able to just beat something right off the bat after downloading the game. Just saying, that's not how games work, not if they want to be successful long term. You should have something you have to work towards, otherwise we end up where we're at now, even faster. So with that being said, if this is something that is going to be a challenge as well, that's nice, that's welcome. That means that we can start making things like strategy videos and different things talking about, you know, whether or not certain characters are built for certain things again, and so on and so forth, as opposed to me just going, hey, this character's really good and breaks the meta again. Yay, woohoo, like that's kind of where we've been at for a while now. And so yeah, overall, this entire thing looks and sounds great. It just comes down to whether or not this all works out. Now, one big thing that does stick out though, there's a new growth system that's designed to enable acquisition and growth through in-game content play as a sub-growth element. This is all a bunch of jargon for basically them saying that they're going to introduce some new system, kind of like a equipment stone or battle card, where basically you're going to be able to have a sub-element on your fighter. I mean, that's great if we get back to a point where these elements matter again. That's the first big thing that needs to happen before this happens. If they do go down that road, I guess it could be interesting. However, it all comes down to, again, implementation, because what if they make it some RNG based thing where all of a sudden it's a nightmare, right? So it all comes down, got an itch today, don't know why. But anyway, with that said, I don't really know how all this will work out, but it all sounds positive on paper. And that is really where it sits for me right now. I'll wait and see. So, with that said, we're looking forward to introducing this new form of dungeon boss in March, and we will do our best to present our contenders the essential fun of playing KoFAS. So, with that said, this all is going to be coming very quickly. We only have to wait a few weeks, it seems, unless it gets pushed back. Time will tell. This is a big update. Sounds like we're going to be getting a large March update of some sort. We usually do get larger updates throughout the year, here or there, like maybe twice a year or so, where they add in a bunch of stuff and improve a bunch of stuff. So maybe this is what's going to be coming. And it would make sense if we get a dev handbook before that, because they've done that before. Time will tell. So we'll have to wait and see. But it is not far away according to this, so that means that they must have at least been working on this for a while. All right, so with that said, let's get into point 2, reinforcing the purpose of fighter growth. The second issue we aim to address is reinforcing the purpose of fighter growth. KoFAS offers new dungeons and events every 3 weeks with one monthly update. Along with this process, we have recognized that almost every content can be cleared in just a few days. And because of this, there is not enough content to use the strengthened fighters, so that the fun and purpose of fighter growth is not clearly felt. Also, it is true that the rewards that could be achieved on the existing contents were insufficient in connection with the growth in the current EX fighter-centered game environment. Therefore, we will make improvements in gaming management to ensure that the reward for achieving content can be a circular structure that leads to the growth of fighters and provides a clear goal for growing and strengthening various fighters. And then they get into an example here where they give you growth of a fighter being 2 weeks, playing content for 2 weeks, achieving rewards for fighter growth. I don't know how I feel about this. Now, this kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning about not really seeing why point 2 was a big deal. I'm not really sure where they're going with this. I think the bigger overall point that they're trying to make is that they've been in this repetitious state of kind of just churning out the same type of updates every 3 weeks or so, that they want to get away from that and change up that pace, which I do agree with. Now, I don't necessarily agree with what they've got outlined here, which is basically like the first couple weeks, we're going to focus on you getting to pull the fighter, grow the fighter, etc. Then you can play some content for a couple of weeks with the fighter, and then you get rewards at the end of it. Like, that's kind of what it seems like here. If that basically means what they make it seem like, which is basically that, like, imagine our normal structure of updates right now, where you get all of your stuff and your EX banners, etc., where we get the banner and we might get like little mini events like the crafting thing and so on and so forth, anything connected to building them up for a couple weeks, and then that stuff goes away, and then we get the events where we can actually play with them, like the tower and stuff. If that's kind of what they're going for, I'm not for that. I don't think that that really makes sense, and I don't really think that anybody's asked for that. But at the same time, the reason why I don't want to make entire like broad stroke judgment calls on any of this stuff is because some of this stuff, it's very vague on what they exactly have planned. But with that said, I don't know how I feel about this one. This point seems a little moot to me. Now, I'm all for them changing up the pace and the pattern of the updates as long as it includes new content. We need new content. We do not care about any of the rest of this stuff. I don't care about how you structure the actual update. I don't care how you pace it out. That doesn't bother me. What is the content? Is there new content? Are you working on different content? Are you going to add new content? Or are you just going to continue to power creep the game and give us new characters in the same content? That is what I care about. But time will tell. I don't know. Again, very tough to tell from this. It sounds positive on paper, but what do they really have planned? That's the question. We will make contents that will be circulated in the above cycle so our contenders can feel both the fun of growing up the fighter and the fun of playing in-game content. Content rewards will consist mainly of the newly added high-value items or items necessary for the new growth system. We will prepare in-game content that contenders can use the fighters they have given hard effort to grow and achieve meaningful rewards to feel the fun and purpose of fighter growth. So they talk about new rewards and important valuable rewards, but they don't name any of those. Namely, EX generic memories. We need EX generic memories in this game. Like, this is the biggest thing. Like, why that wasn't up in these points, I do not understand. People have been complaining about this on top of the content issue for a while, and I do not know why they didn't just throw that in here if it is going to be coming, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like that would be something they would address if it were coming. So I almost feel like the lack of it being in here means it's not, but we'll have to wait and see. It is necessary though. And I do think that if Netmarble wants to get people behind them on this stuff, that's the kind of stuff they need to focus on. We, at the end of the day, we're consumers, right? We want to know what you're giving us. What do we get? You know, it's not to sound completely, you know, spoiled as a consumer, but that's how consumers of these games are, right? You want to know, what am I getting out of it? What am I getting? What's my reward? And they don't really go into detail about that. But at the end of the day, I'm willing to wait and see, because chances are it'll be something cool. I hope that, or it'll just be another bunch of XP capsules. Maybe we'll get more AP, skip tickets or something. You know, the good stuff. Anyway, moving on. Part 3, other contents under preparation. Furthermore, I would like to provide our esteemed contenders with more information regarding the upcoming updates that will enhance their overall experience of KoFAS. Firstly, the Allstar Archive, which we initially announced to our contenders at this time last year, God, it's been a while, I remember covering that, was originally in development with the aim of being launched in 2022. However, we have encountered delays in its release due to the need of further improvements. I sincerely apologize for any inconvenience caused and want to assure our contenders that the KOF dev team is working diligently to enhance the archive and make it available to our players this year. We are also considering ways to expand the use of the remaining fighters' souls and memories, as many of our contenders have made suggestions to our team. To address this concern, we are exploring options to reinforce the new growth system we mentioned earlier by utilizing these remnants. Our team is actively working on implementing these updates and introducing them as new content to our valued contenders in the near future. So this is... the All-Star Archive, if you guys remember, was something they talked about last year, I guess, at this point. God, I feel old now, but that was something that at the time, yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't anything anybody was clamoring for. I don't think anybody has lost any sleep over the lack of the All-Star Archive. So that isn't something I'm over the moon, like, worried about. Like, it's not something I'm that concerned over. Really what I'm concerned over is the bigger points we've talked about ad nauseum here on the channel, of which some of it's been talked about here, or at least kind of alluded to, right? So that's cool that it's coming. It's just not something I'm overly, like, finding that important, but at the same time, it is cool to see that they are still working on it. I don't think anybody's going to hold it against them that it got pushed back either, just because it's not something everybody's that worried about. However, the use of fighter souls and memories, at least the excess ones that we don't have any use for, of which I'm sure a lot of veterans can vouch and have tons of it, is very good. I just wish that they would understand that we would prefer if they would just allow us to further build the unified banner characters up a little bit more and continue to be able to make them stronger. That would give those fighters some sort of use still, and it would give us something to use some of that stuff on, and it would make those fighters have a point in the game still. Whereas right now it just feels like they've all kind of just become junk, and that's kind of unfortunate. However, we'll have to wait and see what they plan with this. It is very nice that we are going to see these things become somewhat useful again, but at the same time, when it comes to memories, I think that we can all agree that the biggest thing that we all worry about is going to be the EX generic memory and when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. But this is a good point. This is very nice to see, and overall, it's positive stuff. More stuff is always positive, and more use for stuff is always positive, so that's a good thing. But ending the dev's handbook, we would like to extend my sincerest gratitude. They go from, like, they need to figure out some of this English in here. We would like to extend my sincerest gratitude and apologies to those who have been playing the King of Fighters All-Star for a long time. We regret that we have not been able to provide the level of fun and enjoyment that our players deserve. While it may be difficult to introduce all of our content plans for 2023 at once, we are excited to announce that we will be implementing them incrementally throughout the year. Our initial plans include the introduction of a new time attack challenge in February, which we talked about yesterday, coming tomorrow or late tonight, depending on kind of how your time zones work out. followed by the addition of a new team relay dungeon and a new boss with a new attribute in March. So that is going to be the rainbow boss or whatever that we just talked about, the one that changes its element, right? So very good stuff to look forward to in the very near future. Of course, the details of the content and direction mentioned above may be subject to change during the planning and development process, yada, yada, yada. So KOF Allstar remains dedicated to providing an exceptional gaming experience for our contenders throughout 2023. We encourage you to continue showing your interest and love for our game. Please keep giving us money. I'm just joking. As a token of our gratitude for your continued support, we have prepared a small gift for you, and that's pretty much the end of it. So we talked about this yesterday, but when the update goes live tomorrow, late tonight, depending again on your time zone, then you will be able to input KoFAS Forever, and you will be able to get 2023 rubies, right? So that is what we got. So guys, overall, this is positive. This is really good news. This is what we've needed. Does it address everything? No. Does it address the most pressing things? Kind of, sort of, in some regards. It does address the content issue. It doesn't address all of our concerns, and I would argue that it really, outside of new content, doesn't address all of our main concerns very well, but it does address concerns and issues. And that's the thing. Like, there are things in here that, while they may seem like they are slightly below the bar when it comes to the priority list in your head, they are kind of more important than you might think. Like the fact that we do need to get back to elements and typing mattering in this game, because right now it's just the Wild West and you can use whatever the heck you want for these new characters to beat whatever the heck you want. And that isn't the way the game was initially designed, nor was it the way the game was initially intended to perform, nor for us veterans is it the way the game used to work, and we remember those days. So anyway, you guys, I think this is all positive stuff, but I always take the wait and see approach because I never underestimate Netmarble's propensity for screwing things up. And that is where I am a little bit jaded and I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic. But anyway, you guys, you can let me know your opinions in the comments section down below. Are you excited about this stuff? What is the most important issue going on in the game right now, in your opinion? Was it addressed in here? And how do you feel about the way they're addressing it? You can let me know in the comments section down below. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours. Like, share, and subscribe on your way out. And until the next one, you all take care. Peace.
Continue.